one artist I use just because there's not really many lyrics. Because with the lyrics, you're kind of, manipulating the therapy session. Lindsay Sterling, if you haven't heard of her, definitely look her up.
Oh, I will.
But it'll go through a flood of emotion. So with the kids, I'll have them do deep breathing, and we listen to the music, or color while you're listening to the music.
And does that help open them up a little bit too, and kind of get peaceful, calm?
Yeah, I have a really good rapport with all the kids I work with. The ones that were real hesitant at first, it was maybe a session or two. But, this is a different population. I know most people working on their hours, might do a private practice or various things. These kids, I can't even imagine, they tell me what they've been through, and it's just stuff that no child should have to go through. So what I focus on the most with them is obviously them being able to vocalize their feelings and emotions, but really teaching them the tools to regulate their emotions.
Things they can take with them for life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make a difference. I think those are invaluable tools. I think it can make the difference of, making it one more day sometimes, that sounds like so much to carry with the children, with adults too, but I see what you mean. You think they're a child, they're innocent. How do they, how do things like that even happen? So.
And it's hard too because they go through social workers, and I don't know that realm of the world at all. We'll write letters back and forth to them of the progress of the kids, but I'm not really sure of the role of them. But every kid I've worked with at this agency, and I'm sure everywhere else, they go through social workers so fast that they never get to connect with them.
Got it.
So I think that's another thing I have to process with them. They lose their parents. They're in one foster home, then they're in the next foster home. These kids, it really comes down to resilience. I don't know how they do it, but they do.
Right.
Right. They really become strong kids. They deal with issues. Some of the foster homes are more like group homes. Once you hit about 9 years old, eight or 9, I think that's when they start doing the group homes. And those are kids that have been in the system for a while.
And
I have a lot of clients that I ask them, do you remember living with your parents? And they don't.
Okay. They've been in groups.
Some kind of a foster care. Yeah.
Okay. And is a group home, to walk us through that, is that like a building, a shared building, dormitory style? Is that? They do have those. Those are more like the really, really negative behavior, kind of they can't stay in a home. Okay.
Oddly enough, you'd be driving down the street and you'd never know that next door could be a group home.
Got it.
It's just a normal home.
Residential looking.
Licensed people come in.
Okay.
And it's either all girls or all boys. They don't mix.
Okay.
For various reasons, of course.
Sure.
But about 5 to 8 kids per house.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so you just think of all those kids going through all those different
issues,
experiences all together.
Sure. Yeah. Wow, that's a lot. And and is that what you're doing now? You're going to these
No, I don't go into the home.
Okay.
No.
Got it. So they
come
to you.
To the office for us.
Okay.
And then I'm actually going to be on Tuesday switching into a new role that's a wraparound department. And that's just going to be more intense. There's 4 therapists on the team. One works directly with the child, one works with the family, one works with the siblings, and one works with the parent.
Oh.
So these are open DCFS cases, could be the neighbor called because the kid's arm's broken or something. So it's more intense. A lot of domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
You work as a team just for safety factors, so that's going to be interesting. So currently I was working in the office. Now I'm going to be going into the field.
Wow.
which puts us at a vulnerable spot.
Sure.
We don't know what we're going into.
What you're getting into, what you're going to be seeing, and what kind of behavior is going to be happening. Wow. You are like my hero. For real, Becky. That's amazing.
I think about the foster parents, and I just think that realm too, like what they're doing for those kids, I think is awesome. And really anybody in the world that thinks outside of themselves is a hero.
If Becky ruled the world. Okay. If Becky ruled the world.
Okay.
And there was one thing you were requiring everybody to do to benefit mental health and make the world better from your experience and what you do, your daily life. What would that one requirement be everyone do to make the world better and to make mental health healthier, more stable?
As far as the mental health, I would say just being open to it, not thinking that because someone sees a therapist, they're weak or there's something wrong with them. Just being open to the process and with the world, really just...
What do you see that we need more
realizing
of?
That everybody's been through something. If everybody just judged a little bit less and... really opened up. I went to a Starbucks one day and the lady asked, how are you doing? And it was just the day, I had a client end up in the hospital, luckily make it, but try to commit suicide. Oh. And I just broke down crying because the lady in the drive-thru asked me how I was doing. Sure. So just being compassionate to others' feelings would, I think, make a huge difference.
Empathy, compassion, that's so beautiful. And I think it is so much what our world needs more of all the time. That's awesome. And also just being open, like, I know we've discussed it before, but 211 from any cell phone. Yes, yeah.
You can call. To me, that's a huge resource, just helping other people. People reach out to me, and I'm completely open to that.
What
if
is
I can't
this
help them,
221?
I send them to 211.
Or 211. Okay, so 211.
It's a live person will talk to you. It could be anything in the world, like mental health-wise, and they'll just go through a computer screen where you are, what your situation is. I don't know how they do it, but it's all of the programs that are out there.
Wow.
Which is a really good way, when you don't know what you need, to find what would be best.
So if you call 211, basically you'll get a live person and they'll...
Yeah, from a cell phone.
From a cell phone. That's great. And that is a great resource. I'm sure they've saved many lives.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
yeah,
gotten people
are
through.
Great.
Right. Now, who do you call when there's nobody, or sometimes it feels like there's no one?
Yeah, and I think that's the part too nowadays with kids. It's just on social media trying to cut each other down. Like that's how a lot of my clients are.
Do you hear that feedback?
All those people, it all comes down to being insecure as opposed to lending a hand.
Do you think social media has kind of fueled that in a way?
Personally, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids I've worked with, have self-esteem issues, cutting issues. When I was in high school, I think we had like AOL, but...
Sure, yeah.
If you made a mistake or you did something and someone captured a picture of it, it wasn't blasted everywhere.
True.
For everybody to make fun of. I do think social media with kids is very tricky. A lot of the kids I work with have been molested. There's people on the internet even looking at people's Facebook pictures, of families and looking at children inappropriately.
Sure.
So I think it's, social media really, there's benefits of it, of course, but I think it really has changed people in general and how they think and how they treat others. It's easy to be mean over a computer screen.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you're not really face-to-face having to be confronted. It seems like it definitely could open up, a platform for like bullying or, more of that type of thing just because you're not in front of somebody.
Yeah. Even, the kids I work with, they said that when they go on social media and they see all these pictures of people with their families for Christmas, something that's a good, positive post, they take it as it hurts them because they don't have that. So it's just, you never know how someone's going to take things on social media, but just, they know people should be able to post those kinds of pictures. But I had a couple clients comment how sad it made them to just be scrolling through those days looking at family upon family upon family together when they didn't have that.
Right. And how heartbreaking like that is. I think it's possibly, and I don't know what you think, but like a lack of maybe awareness or compassion that we had mentioned before when people are kind of posting, I don't want to say recklessly, but kind of, right? Whether it's like all the stuff they have and how great life is, or the people that are, posting the bad stuff. And then you have people who are like in disguise checking out your really personal information or your family or your children or, just that you don't want to be advertising. Yeah. And
it's like that one quote I've seen that's like, I can't remember, I'm going to probably botch it, but something like, I hope your life is as happy as it looks on Facebook or something. A lot of times people put on this whole facade, that everything's perfect. And
sure. And
I just think social media is a way, I don't know, it's interesting.
It is. And it's coming from somebody that does your kind of work. Like, I feel like you see behind the curtain more than most because people are very, I'm sure, typically like vulnerable and raw with you. So you're seeing like what's behind the facade. I feel like our culture could definitely use a little bit more discernment maybe with what they're putting out there. I don't know. In the world we live in today, there are, children who are starving and children with no parents and people that, have a ton of stuff, which is great. Like, that's not knocking them for that, but it's just finding balance. And I think just being a little bit, again, more aware of everybody that's in our world.
Like you said, really even giving back. Like,
yeah,
even the people that have a ton of stuff, like I grew up in a fortunate family, but my parents taught us from a very, very early age. And I think that's kind of like where I connected with psychology is like the first place. I don't know if my parents taught it or I had it, but just empathy.
Right.
And it doesn't seem like that many kids are taught that. To think of other people, to think about how that, if you teach that from the ages of like 2 or 3, I think that's in the kid forever.
I agree. And yeah, why is there such a lack of that? That's still such a question I have that I'm so passionate about that really, and I'm sure you see it all the time, like, why aren't we all just a bunch of like these full of empathy creatures, why is it because we've been hurt and we don't know, we never learned, we've been hurt, even the people that have learned and know the difference. And are we born with that? Is it, there's just, I have so many questions I feel like that would be the answer to if we were all, had more empathy towards one another.
And that's like where the inner child work for me comes in, is you go back to that moment in time to try to figure out what shaped it.
Got it.
Like I knew from a very young age, I was 3, we were in Hawaii with another family for Thanksgiving. Kind of remember it, it's more my mom's story, but I remember bits and pieces, but I broke down in tears, little girl, 3 years old, and at the Sheraton eating shrimp cocktail, shouldn't be crying. And it took my parents a while to calm me down. And then finally when they did, they said, what is wrong? And I was 3. I said, it's the age you start learning things, Thanksgiving's for your family. And still to this day, it breaks my heart. But there was this elderly lady eating alone. And even at 3, when I was just starting to understand what Thanksgiving meant.